is let the sats hit the flow. Let the bodies hit the flow. So what I want to propose to everybody here, I kind of talked about it already, but I really want to stress the importance of whatever you're doing, whatever, if you have a job, if you have a business, if you're just doing contract work, whatever that is, I want you to really shift your mind here to be focused on earning and storing Bitcoin versus earning fiat and keeping it in pensions or a GIC or whatever that is. Because as a business owner, your costs are going to continue increasing. There's no way they're coming down now in our lifetime, in terms of fiat anyways. But the one way to counteract that is by simply holding Bitcoin. That's the only way that businesses are actually going to get through this. So people should be more focused on sats flow instead of cash flow. Although cash flow is pretty important too, because as I'm going to talk about here, you don't just have to accept Bitcoin. That's not the only criteria here for what I'm talking about. Even if you have a business and you're earning cash flow, the point is you take a portion of that, your after tax, your after cost amount, and you put that into Bitcoin and you keep that on the reserve to make sure that you're going to get through this next decade. Because the companies who fail to do that, the businesses who fail to do that, big or small, are going to be gone because they won't be able to keep up. They won't be able to keep up to inflation. Their costs will be too high. They'll have to increase their prices too much. They're going to lose a large percentage of their market share in their customer base simply because of how much fiat is inflating. So the first part is that not only are you going to ensure that your business is going to be around in 10 years because you actually have the purchasing power and the store of wealth from the energy and the profits that your business has earned, but you're also going to, especially in these next couple of years, you're actually going to increase your market or your target market. As soon as you come out and say, I'm accepting Bitcoin, you're automatically going to have a huge population of people who want to support your business. That's what Bitcoiners are right now. If you have two restaurants side by side, sell the exact same thing, exact same food, exact same cost, one accepts Bitcoin and one doesn't, the Bitcoiner by nature is always going to choose the one that accepts Bitcoin. You want to support other Bitcoiners because they're going down the same path as you. They're on the same mission as you. They're pushing adoption and you want to support them. So it's a cheat code. It really is. And I've experienced this myself in our golf company. I wouldn't say we've had an equal amount of Bitcoin business, but a large amount ever since we announced that we were accepting Bitcoin. And I was talking about it on Nostr and within Bitcoin communities. It's one thing to just announce that you're going to be accepting Bitcoin, but you also actually have to be active in Bitcoin communities, whether that's Living in the Future, whether that's Nostr, even Bitcoin Twitter, I think would be a good start. But it's a cheat code in terms of finding new customers, increasing your customer base just by accepting Bitcoin. My Path to Fire says, makes sense, Jor. Doing a Bitcoin treasury. I was doing the books of a Bulls Club, thinking to advise them to move part of their savings to Bitcoin. I think right now, if you did it, you'd be a genius. I think if you did it in a year from now, you'd be keeping up. If you did it in 5 years from now, you're probably not going to have a chance to do it. That's kind of where we are right now in terms of a timeline. Those who are doing it right now, the businesses who are doing it right now are leading the charge. They're the innovators. They're the ones who are going to see the most success from this. If you do it in a year from now, after we go through this next bull run, the next 12 months, then you'll just be keeping up with everybody else because there's going to be a lot of companies doing this. And if you do it 5 years from now, too late. The second part there is what I would say, even if this is more towards personal people. So if you don't have a business, this part's more for you. But I want you to try to find 10 different ways to earn sats, to get the sats flowing to you. Because it's one thing to buy Bitcoin, hold on to it, and think you're going to be able to retire off that in a decade from now. And you might, depending on how much you have. I have no idea. But that should not be your end goal. Your end goal should be to get that there and then continue finding ways to earn Bitcoin. That's the only way you're going to be where you want to be, is by earning Bitcoin. So try to find 10 different ways, whatever that looks like. That could be ShakePay, that could be Fountain, that could be starting a Zap.stream show every week or every day, whatever it is. Everybody out there, I know that every person out there right now has something to talk about. It could be Bitcoin. It doesn't have to be, though. It could be plumbing. It could be fixing old cars. It could be showing off old cars. It could be photography. It could be anything. Photography tips. It could be marketing. It could be accounting. It could be tax stuff. Anything. Everybody out there watching the show has something to offer. And so I want you to try to find 10 different ways, because you don't ever want to have a single point of failure. You don't want to have one income of sats. And if that got cut off, you're screwed. You don't want that. So try to find 10 different ways, whatever that looks like. You don't have to do it this week or overnight, but try and write them down. Write them down so you do them every day and you have those sats flowing in. Even if it's 21 sats, 100 sats, every single day, it doesn't matter. But over a long enough time frame, that's where it's going to really add up and make a difference in your life. And kind of tying into that, the third one here is that you want to add value. You want to add value and do it on Nostr, because that's where the Bitcoiners are. Figure out what people want and add value to their life, and they'll reward you for it. Don't overthink it. Think about what you do best. Think about what kind of value you add to the world. And a couple ways to think about that is, what do people come to you advice for? Think about that, because it's very easy to find things that are wrong about you. That's just human nature. Everybody likes to point out the negatives within themselves, but it's much harder to find what you do well. But think about what people come to you for advice for. And even if it's not what you do for work right now, that doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Worry about adding value to Bitcoiners. So figure out what people come to you advice for and start doing that. You have to be consistent with it. You have to do it every single day. You have to put a priority on this if you actually want to be successful with it. But also think about, what do you enjoy doing when no one is paying you for it? That's a big one, because whatever you're good at, whatever you enjoy doing, you're going to be successful with that if you put the time and energy into that. That could be in the morning, that could be at night, that could be in your lunch break. But you have to be consistent and you have to find whatever it is that you enjoy doing, because you're going to do that well. And also run through the thought experiment of, what would you do tomorrow if you got fired from your job? What would you do? Actually walk yourself through that thought experiment about, would you take some time off? Would you have enough savings to cover yourself for a couple months? What industry would you like to get into? Would you be applying for jobs, or would you be looking at starting your own business somewhere? Think about that, because the world that we're moving into, if you have a 9-to-5 job right now, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be replaced by machines. And that sucks to hear, sucks to say, but it's not me talking about it has no impact on it. It's inevitable at this point. So think about what you would do tomorrow if you got fired from your job. And then go even further than that. How could you find ways to make that a success? How could you add value to people? What channels would you use for that? Would you use YouTube? Would you use Zap.stream? Would you use Nostr? Would you do it a brick and mortar? Would you start your own little shop in your small town? Would you cut grass? Would you buy some canoes or paddle boards and buy a cabin somewhere and start renting those out? Think about what you would want to do and think about how you could do it. And, start with something that's manual, but end with something that's automatic. So you can do it without you can earn sats. That's the end goal here, is you want to be earning sats without even having to do anything. Whether that's through an ebook, an online course, a product that you can sell online, maybe drop ship it, whatever that is, you want to be making money while you're not doing work. That's the idea here. So start with doing it manually, whether that's listening to podcasts every day and earning sats that way. But you want to get to a point where you can end it with automatic sats flowing in. That's the end goal. And if you can put yourself in that position today, whether that's just you doing it yourself or through a business, if you can find a way to start earning sats every day automatically, that's it. That's the goal here. That's where you want to get to. And if you can get to that, you're never going to have to worry about anything ever again financially. Craig says, sorry, just take a little bit of a break here. Actually, no, let's round this out first. Jumping around. So as I mentioned there, that's kind of what I wanted to get through there. But keep in mind here is that you don't have to accept Bitcoin. Don't let that be your barrier here, saying that, I have all this knowledge, I have all this value. I don't know how I'm going to market it to Bitcoiners. I don't know who's going to pay me in Bitcoin. Don't worry about that. That side of it will come eventually. Everybody's going to be a Bitcoiner eventually. Everybody's going to have Bitcoin to give you eventually. But start with just earning cash. And even if you, like I said, even if you don't have a way to earn sats today, if you can't find Bitcoiners, just focus on earning cash, but convert a large portion of that into Bitcoin and let that be your reserve, your safety net for this next decade. Because if you don't have that, I think you're going to be in quite a bit of trouble. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in terms of the sat flow. Start thinking about that because it's the only thing that matters right now. Nothing else does. Everything else is going to zero compared to Bitcoin over time. So as I said, whether it's 21 sats, whether it's 100 sats, whether it's 1,000 sats, it doesn't matter. The point is that you're earning these, you're starting these different streams, you're doing it consistently, and over time you'll be amazed by, after a year, after 5 years of having a sats flow every day, how many sats you'll have. It'll blow you away. You just have to start doing it.